Namibia is now focusing on harnessing the potential of this vast resource along coastlines south of the Atlantic through growing of seaweed or kelp in underwater sea farms such as this one. It is hoped that this will create much needed jobs and also preserve the marine ecosystem. I'm in the coastal town of Luderitz to find out how this is being done. Namibia is a vast country with a population of about 2.5 million people. It is the driest country in sub-Saharan Africa, making it most vulnerable to climate change, and this affects some of its key economic sectors such as agribusiness and fisheries. The country is looking into new economic frontiers such as farming seaweed or kelp. Aquaculture company Kelp Blue has started growing seaweed in underwater farms in the coastal town of Luderitz. In 2021, the company was named by the World Economic Forum as one of the 4 startups using seaweed to help save the planet.
This is our test pilot site, but this is where we do a lot of our small-scale tests. It's situated in 12 meters depth water, and the actual structure where we seed our kelp on is at 5 meters depth.
What goes into planting kelp or seaweed here?
So what we do is we have a land-based facility. So we have a hatchery that's based at our site of operations in town, and at this facility we culture the kelp, so we grow the kelp. So what we do is we take the kelp spores, the early life stages, and we grow them on a specific substrate. In this case, we just use a polyester twine. And so this twine is wrapped around PVC spools with the kelp seedlings on the twine. And we transfer that twine when the kelp is big enough to the structure. So today I will go down and with scuba gear and manually apply the twine to the structure, wrap it around, fix it on with clamps, and then from there the kelp will naturally grow.
What do you hope to achieve by planting as opposed to just collecting seaweed?
By planting seaweed, you're not interfering with the natural ecosystem. You're creating new habitats for marine organisms, and at the same time you're getting a product that you can use at the end of the day. So seaweed is what we call an ecosystem engineer. So when seaweed or kelp or any large organism grows in the ocean, it itself becomes a habitat. And seaweed is incredible and kelp is incredible because not only does it create a flat habitat, but it grows upwards like a forest. And so it creates a 3D habitat that can be nursery for young marine organisms, provides shelter, food, it alters the nutrient availability and the flow of water, and so it creates this incredible environment for marine organisms to grow and to thrive.
Every little spot you see here is seaweed or kelp, as it's popularly referred to here, that has been developed at the hatchery, and today it has been brought here at the sea where it's going to be planted in structures deep inside the sea. It will be months before this seaweed can develop to maturity and be ready for harvesting. From here, the seaweed will then be harvested and taken for processing to produce various products.
When we harvest the seaweed from offshore, from plain pilot site, we will be using the seaweed and process them into biostimulant. It's 100% organic and it acts as a liquid fertilizer. From that process, we also have what remains, what we call the pulp. It's actually the dry matter that stays, and from that, under R&D, we are trying to see also different products that we can extract from there. So one being alginate, which is a thickener. Other companies are interested in it because they can use it in biopackaging, and another component being fucoidan, which is also used in pharmaceuticals, and also incorporating this dry matter into feed for animals. So far we have made biostimulant using different materials from other countries like Chile and South Africa, and with this biostimulant we are now testing it with different institutions, basically doing field trials with Orongo campus, it's a university in Namibia, and some farmers in Namibia and also in other countries, because we are not only trying to penetrate the Namibian market, but also other markets outside Namibia.
And what challenges are you facing so far?
In Namibia, it's the first time someone is farming with seaweed offshore. It's an unknown industry. It's still emerging, and there's a lot of unknowns. Acquiring permits, it is going smoothly, but I believe things could work even much better if the industry was not just at its early stages.
The government's strategy to derive maximum benefits from the blue economic sector also involves developing its inland fisheries. It is hoped that the products derived from seaweed, like animal feeds, can be of benefit to fish farmers. Animal feed is an important component in the cost of rearing fish, and farmers like Jamie Leonard have been hoping to get cheaper and healthier alternatives.
We have many ponds, but unfortunately we only have 4 ponds where there are fish. We sold one since we came here. That was this year in April. The quantity of fish that we sold, it was not enough. The demand was very high. People really love this fish. The time that we harvested, they came in number. In just maybe 1 hour, they got finished. In terms of money, it's very costly, because we have to buy fish feed, the 50 kg that we used to buy for the fish feed. It's costing 550. And that one we usually feed now, every day, 3 times a day. We are also trying to find out other source, other supply, cheaper than that one.
To help farmers counter the various challenges they face, the government has established bodies such as the Kamuchonga Inland Fisheries Institute, situated along the Kavango River in northern Namibia.
We produce fingerlings for communities, for small-scale fish farmers. So we have breeding fish within these ponds, and we collect the swim-up fry, which we then rear in our nursery building, and these we then distribute to small-scale fish farmers across the country. Aquaculture is not an easy farming practice. You do require skills to farm with it, because there is quite a bit of management involved. If you talk about commercial aquaculture, you have quite a high capital cost involved. Establishing the fish farm, you have water replacement. You have to replace 10% of your water every day. So one of the biggest challenges in Namibia, we are a desert country, is the availability of water and land. In Namibia, we do have a challenge getting good quality fish feed. As Namibia does not currently produce our own fish feed at commercial levels, we do have small-scale fish farmers that do produce their own fish feed from locally available products. But talking commercial fish farming, we currently import our fish feed from Zambia. I think if we can find a sustainable local supplier of fish feed, it will definitely improve the aquaculture in the country, because currently fish feed is a challenge, and especially because you need a high quality fish feed. If you talk about commercial production, your food is the basis from which you work. If you have high quality fish feed, then obviously your fish will be healthier, you'll have less diseases in your ponds, and your fish will grow faster, and therefore your profit margins increase.
But despite these efforts, the country is yet to reap the full benefits from its blue economy. The seaweed sector, for example, still falls behind countries such as Tanzania, Morocco, South Africa and Madagascar, which have been making significant steps over the years. Overall, Africa's contribution to the world's seaweed value chain stood at less than 1% in 2019, with Asia taking the lead at over 97%. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, revenues generated from seaweed grew to about $15 billion worldwide in the same year. So what is Namibia doing to position itself as a key player in this ecosystem? I'm here at the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources to find out more.
The
blue economy, the country's blue economy comprises of marine, inland fisheries and aquaculture, amongst other sectors in industry. Currently in Namibia, the aquaculture is at the infancy stage, averaging production of about 400 tons per annum and an employment of at least 450 people.
Let's now turn to something that Namibia has been trying to do, seaweed farming. What is the status of this activity?
Currently, there is one seaweed project at its initial stage, and it aims to produce at least 2,000 tons of giant kelp. There is a dedication section within the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources that has offering extensive services as well as water quality monitoring programs that focuses on nutrients, pollution and the monitoring of mariculture activities in the countries where the seaweed falls under the mariculture.
So what do you hope to achieve with this?
When we are venturing into seaweed farming is because the country, we are trying to see the potential of as many aquaculture sectors as they are, because they are more than just the mariculture and the freshwater aquaculture that we are currently dealing with. So we are hoping that the country would venture into these aquacultures just to also meet the rising need for food security and also employment creation, and to elevate the poverty in the country, and for also Namibians to be able to compete with at the world stage when it comes to food security and also when it comes to other sectors that they can do. So like as we know that the country is a dry country, we are sandwiched between deserts. So also these people that are venturing into agriculture, which is one of the successful sectors also in the country. So we also want the aquaculture to compete at that world stage.